Good afternoon. Jeez. From now on, I'll come in and say, I hope you all had a shitty day. Maybe that'll get a response out of you. Okay. Who's up? Who wants to start? Anybody? Anybody?
Coach, what did the comeback win do for the psyche of the football team, and did you see it carry over on the practice field this week?
Yeah, no, I think any time that you're able to win a game that you're down by 17 on the road against an SEC opponent, it definitely, does a lot to the group in terms of, the work that they've done. There's only so many times you can talk about preparation and that your preparation has put you in a good position to be successful, and you're not rewarded for it, right? And I think this group would not have been in a bad place if they hadn't won the game. But I think you got to look at it from this perspective. Their work has been so good, and they know that they've prepared so well. They're concerned that they haven't played the way they want to play as well. But yet, having said that, they still were able to overcome so many mistakes against a really, good football team. So that really built a lot of confidence in the group this week.
Secondly, you won the toss, Brian, this weekend. You deferred. What went into that, and how do you differentiate between a gut feeling and using the analytics? I
knew we were going to be down 17 early on in the game, and I wanted that extra possession. No, I think, when you go on the road against an SEC team, you're looking at it from a perspective of where are our strengths, where do we perceive, maybe they're not as strong. And as we did a deep dive into that game, earlier in the week, I felt in talking to the coordinators that was the best place to be.
Right here, Coach. Just about the safeties last week. Seemed like you guys were you had two pairs. So have you guys kind of been assessing, well, this guy works better with this guy, or just are you considering a platoon approach? Just what's your assessment of that position right now?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of guys playing at that position. As we talked about, right, with Harold playing the Sam linebacker position, we've got to make room for Major Burns because Major's been a consistent player for us. So now he's playing some safety, and clearly, we've talked about this that we want to get Deshaun Spears on the field as well. So you have that kind of mix where you've got a veteran with a freshman, which makes sense to us, and then you've got Gilbert, who's a veteran player, and Allen, who's a first-time starter. So, those are the four guys that have been in the mix. Kylan has also gotten an opportunity. So I think you'll start to continue to see, as many as five safeties, playing for us. And, I think that rotation works for us right now, and we'll see how that continues to go.
Speaking of the defense, we've seen them struggle and also improve against UCLA, against South Carolina, against Nichols. What have y'all kind of zeroed in this week for the upcoming UCLA matchup?
Yeah, the elimination of big plays, right? If you take away the two big plays, that's a pretty good defensive effort. So eliminating the big plays is probably the most important thing. I would say layers to our defense, and it's sometimes difficult when you're playing a running quarterback to have layers because you need to be playing cover zero. So if you're not cupping the ball and doing a really good job, structurally, you can give up big plays. But it's eliminating the big plays. That's really number one. I think we've done a really good job in so many other areas that it gets glossed over by the explosive plays, and rightly so. And, we've been really good in getting turnovers, creating havoc on third down. We just have to eliminate the big plays.
Coach, is there an injury report for?
No, we're not
Saturday?
giving one out. We don't have to. That was sarcastic. I mean, it's not going to be seen that way. Obviously, it's going to go out as, Coach Kelly, refused to give out the injury report, but it'll be our laugh right here. Let's see. Chris Hilton is probable. Jalen Lee is out with a shoulder. And West Weeks is questionable. He'll be a game day decision. Those are really the three guys. But I'm not giving out an injury report because I don't have
to. When it comes to sort of instilling discipline in your team, but also finding the right balance between that and letting the guys be themselves out in the field, like how do you sort of find that balance as you're coaching your football team?
Well, there's a difference between being a disciplined player relative to personal discipline and doing your job and doing it the right way, and then being emotionally undisciplined and having foolish mistakes and selfish mistakes. And selfish mistakes are when you do things that can cause harm to the team, and generally they're when you lose emotional control, whether it's celebrations, or you take a swing at a guy, or you do things that are emotionally out of control and lack discipline. And then there's also not being disciplined relative to doing your job. Those are two areas of discipline. Our football team has had discipline. What we haven't had is consistency. We do a really good job for a number of plays, and then we don't have it for a play or two. It's getting that consistency, play in and play out, where we have that, do your job, not somebody else's, every single play. And so it's not as much discipline as about your accountability. And you need to be accountable to doing your job every day. So I'm less concerned about this idea of discipline as you brought up, and much more about being accountable to your teammates, so they know and trust that you're going to do your job every play.
Hi. How do you think Braden has stepped into his role as a senior on the young D-line?
Braden Swinson.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, look, the splash plays are sacks, right? And, certainly he was the SEC Player of the Week, and deservingly so. He had the 3 sacks. I think the growth of Swinson has been in terms of what he's doing off the field and what he's doing in terms of the other assignments. Look, pass rushing is, third down, but he's got to stop the run. He's got to drop into coverage. He's got to do so many other things. I think what's really showing in his play is really the overall commitment to all phases of the game. And then off the field, he's a SWAT leader for us. His SWAT team is outstanding. He's holding players accountable. That's really where he's leaving a big mark into the program in those areas. And I know the splash plays get all of the publicity, and good for him, but he's doing a job that's being recognized in the program as well.
Coach, up front, do you expect to get Trey Holly back at any point this season?
Obviously, we've followed Trey's situation legally, and there's not much that we can do. We hope for a resolution in the case, but this is out of our hands right now. This is a matter that needs to be handled through the courts, and once it's cleared through the courts, then we'll be able to make a decision on his status. Again, I think we've been pretty clear that he can't play football here until the legal matters have been settled.
And I also wanted to ask about the run game. Did South Carolina give you some lighter boxes to sort of help out the run game? Was that a factor sort of in how you're able to get things going on the ground last week?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think, it's kind of a little bit what I talked about. We were able to make some people miss. We were able to break some tackles. And, Caden did a really good job there. Josh did a really good job. That's kind of the nature of, being consistent with your running game. You're going to have to get some of that. Yeah, we had some good box looks that allowed us to run the ball as well. But there are going to be some times where, you can't block them all. And you've got to make a guy miss, and you got to run through some tackles. So I think it was, in answering your question, I think it was a little bit of both. But it wasn't, hey, we just got the numbers every single time. Our backs did a much better job of running through contact and really making some defenders miss.
You mentioned Chris Hilton, probable. As the season has gone on, what does he add to the passing game as the passing game has evolved the past couple of weeks?
Well, he's been in the program now 3 years, so experience, certainly, knows the offense very well. It's easy to talk about speed, and he certainly has it. I think what he brought and what emerged late in the season and into the bowl game was tracking the ball extremely well down the field. So, that's an element that we're hopeful that we start to see a little bit more of, although, I thought we did a much better job against South Carolina pushing the ball down the field. But once Chris is, back, now look, you can't be out, almost a month and then just jump in and here's Chris Hilton's, tearing it up. It takes a while for him, and I hope everybody's expectations are at a point where he can't come in and just, pick up where he left off. It's going to take a few weeks for him to get back into action, but he's going to help us, and he's going to be a main player in what we do before the season's over.
Yeah, you guys have a history of kind of getting down early and coming back and winning games. And I'm sure it's not a position you like to be in. Just how do you, I guess, with this team, coach, starting a little bit faster, and is that something you want to see from this team, I guess, this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's on our ball. It's on our walls. I mean, start fast. Attention to detail. It's in the hallways. If you guys walk down the hallway, you'll see we have 4 quarters of LSU football is one, start fast. That's the first quarter. Second quarter is attention to detail. Third quarter is effort and enthusiasm, and fourth quarter is finish strong. So we talk about it every day about starting fast. So it's one of those things where then you have to look at, all right, what's our practice preparation look like? Do we start fast in practice and preparation? So for the last 2 weeks, we have gone 11 on 11, ones versus ones, in the first 15 minutes of practice. So we're backing up all of those things with actionable items relative to what we're doing. We got to the stadium 30 minutes earlier than we normally did. We're going to keep finding ways to put our guys in that position. But at the end of the day, we got to play at a higher level, and we got to coach our guys at a higher level. And that's going to get us off to a better start. All right. Thank you. Yep. On what?